This is Tom Doody, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. I'll read the words of Markus Feldenkirchen. Marcus, the words, the script that I use, the words of Marcus will be first. I will have comments at the end. I'll explain where I am, why, and my purpose. Marcus is a media pro for Spiegel.com. Now, his relationship with Spiegel.com, I'm not quite sure. Is he an employee? Is he a freelance? I don't know. I do know that on June the 26th, 2015, the text of Markus Feldenkirchen appeared on Spiegel.com. Spiegel.com is a digital offshoot of Der Spiegel. Der Spiegel is about a half century old, and Spiegel.com is a little more than a decade old. And Marcus, at least on one occasion, has written for them. Marcus has also replied to a tweet indicating that he knows I've done this at least on one occasion. I've now done this more than 5, less than 10 occasions. I'm not yet in the double digits. Der Spiegel is credited by multiple sources as being effective investigative journalists. It's a weekly news magazine published in German. This piece, of course, was published probably in German, but also in English, which is why I found it. I do have the sense that Der Spiegel chooses to publish text in English, and it is not random. They, of course, take the time to put something in English that they think people who read their news in English, prefer to read their news in English, will want to read. I think on some occasions there's a little editorial motivation that says, we want those people to read this. This is one of those occasions. Title, Confronting the Past, America finally turns its attention to rampant racism. The United States is skilled in dealing with injustices of other countries. They often help other countries to cope with their shameful past. Germany will always be grateful to the U.S. for sending American troops across the Atlantic to defeat the Nazis, and for insisting that Germans be held accountable for the crimes they committed. The Nuremberg trials gave Germans the opportunity to own up to what they had done. They could no longer deny it. The U.S. has been less successful, however, in conducting the same process when addressing the dark past of its own. This includes its treatment of Native Americans who were brutally repressed or even killed in order to clear way for Western expansion. They were betrayed, neglected, disrespected. Today, they live on reservations in some of the saddest living conditions of the civilized world. Americans seem even more forgetful when it comes to the history of blacks who were once snatched from their homes, forced into ship galleys, and kept like animals for centuries. Even at the end of the Civil War, the official abolition of slavery, it took another 100 years before the discriminatory racial laws were finally officially lifted. To this day, the U.S. has never issued a formal apology or made attempts at redress, let alone compensation. Instead, many patterns of institutionalized racism still exist. When a clean break from the past is not made, it may be difficult for people to part with their old ways of thinking. Indeed, Not only do Americans continue to hold twisted notions, the superiority of whites, but these beliefs often go unchallenged. Imagine 150 years have passed since the American Civil War had ended, and now, only now, has a national debate begun over whether some symbols of the South are inappropriate. 9 black people died in Charleston, executed by a white Nazi, adorned with the Confederate flag and other symbols of alleged white supremacy. It seems that there were never a thought given to the South when the war against the North, partly in order to defend their right to continue to hold blacks like animals, to put them in chains and beat them when they were down. How is it that for many politicians, the American citizens, the flag has only now become a little embarrassing? Why are people only now asking whether it's really a good idea to name streets and public areas over the greatest generals in a fight for slavery? They may have been brave soldiers, but if they are fighting for a despicable cause, they should not have monuments built in their honor. Unless, of course, we believe that what they stand for is really not so reprehensible. On the Mall in Washington, and not somewhere in Germany, one can find one of the best, most poignant Holocaust museums in the world. Yet, similarly impressive museums dedicated to the history of slavery, to racist policies throughout America, are missing. Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, is enshrined on the Mall, fit in a monument fit for a deity. The fact that Jefferson was also a brutal slave owner is something one only learns at the former estate in Monticello. Perhaps not surprisingly, that fact is not prominently displayed. To date, the American treatment of its own dark past is so ignorantly passive, so intentionally vague, so in denial that it begs the question, do the majorities of Americans feel any guilt or acknowledge any wrongdoing toward blacks and Native Americans? Every nation has dark spots in the past, and nowhere are those spots darker than in Germany. However, the greatest of a country is reflected in how it deals with the past and whether it critically examines it. In this respect, the United States is not the great nation it believes itself to be. And words of Markus Feldenkirchen. Beginning words of Tom Doody. I am in Bergen Line Avenue, West New York, New Jersey. I think it might be North Bergen, New Jersey, but I think the first is correct. This is New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. I'm at Bergen Line and 67th. I'm here exactly at this spot for a collection of reasons. It's a sunny day and I'm outside. I'm in New Jersey because my work this week favored being in my home office and not traipsing around the subways of New York. And Optimum Wi-Fi, according to the map, claims to have an outside Wi-Fi signal, and I have found that signal, and time will tell if this posts properly if that signal is indeed the outside signal that it claims to be. The purpose, what am I trying to do? I just was struck by this text of Markus Feldenkirchen. I read it again. Somehow it just felt important. My motivation is purely emotional. I articulate some logical reasons about why I would do this, but the real reason is because it feels important. When I reach these post-Feldenkirchen notes after I've read his words, it's like emotional speech-making calisthenics. I feel profound. I've also listened to some of my words, as I've said after Markus's words, and I wish I had quit early. I don't sound profound, but I feel profound. I also have a motivation to try to get other people to do exactly what I've done. Perhaps someone else, an American, making a recording of these words by Markus, will feel it's important also. If I want someone else to do something in today's world, in yesterday's world, pre-internet, I could like arm wrestle someone close to me and coerce them into doing it. Or in today's world, you just bark out with the internet to as many people as one possibly can, and maybe someone will mimic what I've done. Well, doing that once, it's highly unlikely. You don't do anything once and get someone to follow. So I'm going to do it repetitively, and this is probably, I'm more than 5, not yet double digits, time through this exercise. In the news, still, for a couple of weeks now, at least a week, 10 days, Sandra Bland. She is reported, there is strong evidence that she committed, I think strong evidence of an independent autopsy, that she committed suicide in a Texas jail. The third day of incarceration following a routine traffic stop that went bad. A video was released, then there was concession challenge followed by concession that it had been edited, claims that were edited inadvertently. And that video is just horrible to watch. It is a traffic stop, a woman who is angry, irritated, a cop that is impatient, and that collision comes at the expense of Bland, Ms. Bland, Sandra Bland. Now, the police officer has also been put on administrative leave. I don't think anyone can watch that traffic stop and somehow feel things are okay in America. Markus Feldenkirchen here highlights an event which triggered his text. And now I'm, a month later with another relevant news story of Sandra Bland. Related to the words of Markus. This is Tom Doody, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, a restful night's sleep. Ciao. Ciao.